Hey, what's up, everyone? We're here with Fitpro Talks, first episode. With Johnny Denis, with someone that's been through so much ups and downs, played professional, played in Honduras on a national team, been through health issues. Here we will see what it takes to play professional. I welcome you, Johnny. How are you, Johnny?
Good, man.
How's everything?
Good, can't complain. Thank you for having me here. I'm super excited
Definitely.
to share my story for everyone to hear, and hopefully some people can relate,
Definitely understand you. The first question I have for you is, what does soccer mean to you?
It's a great question. I feel like we've kind of started at such a young age playing. I feel like my personality has kind of went around the game, and it gives me so much joy and happiness. It's a way to clear my head. And it's something when I'm actually playing, I don't realize how much time is actually passing. And I think the best description for it is just pure joy.
Gotcha. I mean, you're very known in soccer. You're a massive player. I've seen your background. You played at NYCFC. You're on the national team. My question is, at what age did you start playing?
I started playing at the age of 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your first team?
I played for my club team, my town team in Yorktown. It was Yorktown Heights.
Gotcha. And what was like your process? Building your way up to such a high level that you played at?
Yeah, so I started Yorktown. I played there until I was 7 years old. After that, I went to JPSC for 5 years. And then at 13 years old, that's when I kind of made that jump to try to play more competitive soccer. I went to New York Soccer Club for about 3 years. And then my last year, I went to play academy for Beachside FC in Connecticut. And there I was able to make the national team. I played for the residency program in IMG. The players there were like Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, all the big hitters for the United States right now. Yeah. And then I pursued an education at Columbia University. So that was like my pathway in the American system.
Gotcha. I mean, at what age? So your first MLS club was NYCFC. That was your first competitive club, I'm sorry? Yeah,
so the tricky part with New York City FC was that they didn't have academy when I was playing.
Yeah.
So they were just starting. I think New York City FC was in 2015, and the coaches were trying to have combines, create the team from the bottom up, you know? So one day they went to a training session. I was 15 years old, yeah. So they came, they saw me play, and they're like, wow, this kid's pretty good. And they asked me to train with the pros. So David Villa was there in the combines.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, David Villa was.
RJ Allen, Poku, all these guys. And I was 15 years old. This is my first kind of experience playing at the highest level, and it was wonderful.
Gotcha. I mean, at age 15, because nowadays we see so many 15 years olds, right? Yeah. So much talent is out there. We have Kevin Sullivan. We have so many as well. That's just one. He plays for Philadelphia Union, right? We have so many players. That's Red Bull, right? Serge, that just got signed as well. You got Daniel Edelman out there. What was your mentality at age 15, when you saw these players, RJ Allen, all these talented players out of David Villa, right? He came from Barcelona. What was your mentality, right there in that moment?
Initially, it's kind of imposing, You're playing with a legend of the game, but you're trying to also make your mark as well.
Yeah, obviously.
So the hunger you have compared to one of those players might not be the same. You're there to earn your spot. So I was just doing my thing. Also, I feel like when you're younger, you have this clarity of your mission that you don't really care whose toes you're going to step on, right? Yeah. So I was there for my thing, and my focus was clear that I was coming to sign a contract or just give my best possible performance.
Definitely agree with you. And after that trial, right, you said you trained with them. After that, you got signed at that age, at age 15, or you continued playing academy? How did that work there?
Yeah, so during this time I was playing for Beachside.
Gotcha, Beachside.
Yeah, I was playing for Beachside Academy, and then I would say 3 times a week I would go to train with the first team in New York City.
Yeah.
And then I was also at the residency program. So I was just playing between these 3 different squads. And the time came for New York City FC, they had a lot of interest in me, and they're like, we're thinking about signing you as our first homegrown player. I was like, oh shoot, like that's crazy. I was super excited. But Jason Christ and Miles Joseph were the coaches at the time, and the team wasn't doing that well, if you remember. So long story short, they ended up being fired, let go, and I ended up choosing to go to college at Columbia University. My parents thought it'd be like the best
option
pathway, for security, so I decided to do that. Also, the GM at the time for New York City, I don't think was a big enough fan of me to like give me that push. So I think the coaches in general they really liked how I played, and they were gonna, I think if they stayed, they were gonna like follow through with it. But yeah, just crazy things happen at crazy times.
Definitely, yeah. So I mean, and when you went to college, how did that? What was like? You played in college, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, I saw. What would you say is the difference? You played, which is a Division I school, right? Am I right? What would you say is the difference of playing at college and playing at a club like MLS, right? Like NYCFC, right? What was the difference? Which one was more competitive? You can say.
Ooh, it's night and day. The MLS level is way more competitive in every single facet of the game.
Yeah.
College, you have guys who are there like on a mission. They might be there for to get their academics right.
Yeah.
Right. They could be there for soccer.
Yeah.
Or they could be there for both. They're combining. When you're losing focus on the one thing you're there for, and you're trying to like kind of multitask, I feel like that's a recipe for disaster most of the time. So yeah, if I had to pick which is more competitive, it was playing for New York City FC, the residency program, and with the national team. It was a tough transition for me.
Definitely, yeah. When you were in college, right? Because I mean, let's talk about you played your full 4 years, right? Gotcha. How was it life as a student athlete? How was it, right? Because I see nowadays, right, we have the things gone with what they called mental health, right? We have so many players that right now has committed suicide due to, right, they have to focus on school, their job, pay their university, and as well play, right? And if they don't get their playing time, health issues start to come in. Yeah. How did that work with you? Was it hard for you? How did you manage that?
That's a great topic. I feel like it's not discussed enough. Transitioning out of IMG and like the environment I was in, that was so focused on high performance.
Yeah.
And going into a school like Columbia, it was tough academically, and then also on the field, it was super tricky for me to find my spot because I came with that high standard. I try to like expose my teammates to that same environment. I was expecting, okay, you mess up, okay. I was used to like, okay, you're gonna get at them, scream at them a little, whatever, positive, a little negative chaos, sometimes it's good for players to feel that pressure. So for me, I feel like putting my ego to the side.
Exactly, yeah.
And just, you're not better than anyone. You're going to have to work for your spot. And the amount of work you're putting in is not giving you the results you think you deserve, then it's time for a conversation and then trying different connections. But until you understand what's the issue, then you can go around that. But first understand the issue and what you have to do to get better, and then think about other things, the outside stimulus.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you, right? I see so many people, right? They go to college, right? And they have so many issues. They don't get playing time, and then their playing time might affect their mental health, and then they go, to class, they fail their class, and then just becomes a whole issue, right? What is your point of view, right? You play D1, right? What would you say? What is your point of view on a D1 college, D2 and D3? What is the difference of pressure, right? In the sense of on the field and off the field and with academics, which level you think feels more pressure, or do you think it's the same thing at the end of the day?
That's a great question. I feel like there are certain schools in every division, it being D1, D2, D3, that I feel like have to win, right? So those are your Wake Forest, your ACC schools, I feel like face way more pressure than us at Columbia did, right? Competitively, I think not to knock any division, but D1 I think is probably, if you're going to play college, the most competitive.
Yeah.
And as for like the restraints and the commitment to the soccer program itself, I think it depends where you go.
Yeah.
We had some guys who were disciplined and other guys who weren't as much,
Yeah.
The partying comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like bouncing in and out of lineups happens. As a freshman,
Yeah.
it's so tough to earn that experience and like the trust from the coach
Exactly.
to play you. So again, I think it's all about putting your ego to the side and just getting to work, but never losing the respect you have for yourself as a player as well.
Definitely, right? I mean, right now, what you just said, right? When it comes to Wake Forest, all these universities, right? The pressure over there is way different, right? And like Duke, like you have to win those games, right? Now, I mean, when you see these players, right? I mean, have you ever seen those players? I mean, I've seen them till today, right? That there's players out there that you were signed to Division I, but there's players out there that might have the same talent as you or even better than you, right? Let's say, giving you an example, and a D1 college does not accept them, right? And they get signed to a D3.
Yeah.
Do you think that has something to do with their talent, unfairness? Like, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I think that's another good one. I think there's a lot of holes in the American soccer system that let these phenoms kind of slip through the cracks,
Yeah.
And I think your path is your path. Your journey is going to be super specific to you, right? So enjoy every single part. If you have to go from D3 up the pathway maybe to D2, D1, or even there's D3 players who are playing MLS right now who are nasty out of the world, right?
That's true.
So I don't think it's a knock to anyone if you're playing D2, and it is what it is. Like your path is your path. Your journey is going to be something different, It doesn't have to be like the perfect layout, if that makes sense.
Definitely, I definitely understand you. I mean, right now, it's college signing soon, right? We have a bunch of seniors there right now that are committing right now, I see, right? What would you tell someone right now that's literally, because it happened to me, might have happened to you as well, right? We all, sometimes have that one cause that we always want to go to, right? What would you tell a player, what do you tell a student athlete, right? If they are dismissed from a university, right? They weren't accepted, right? Like, what would you tell that player right there? If their dream was to go D1, and sadly, not sadly, right? But at the end of the day, the only chance at the end of the day is you have to go to a D3, and you don't want that. What would you tell that person to keep their head up, to keep going? Like, what would you say?
I think you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're very young.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world if you don't get into your dream school or your dream division. I think the journey is so special, and as long as you work your butt off, it's going to pay off.
Exactly.
And my other question is, say your dream is to play for Wake Forest, right? You're a freshman going into freshman year, right? And you want to play for Wake Forest, the best team in the country. You get there, what's the commitment of the coach to give you playing time?
Yeah.
And then that's the whole other thing that a lot of players don't see, is that the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're going to have to earn playing time, and at the end of the day, what gives you happiness? Going to the school or playing soccer?
Yeah.
I think soccer is the most important thing, and a lot of times kids forget about that. Like, you're not going to necessarily play that freshman year. Yeah. You might be nasty, and I'll be quiet. But for those who just want to go to like their top school and they're not yet developed, maybe you should think about lowering the expectation or the school so that you can develop better.
Exactly. Definitely agree with you. Right now you're talking about development. I see that you've just launched a program, right? A training program, and it's called
360 Pro Soccer.
360 Pro Soccer.
Yeah.
You went from being a player, right, to now coaching, right? Good transition, right? Because you love the game. You love the game, right? You love the game. How is that going? Like, what ages are you training now?
Yeah, I'm training from 7 years old all the way to high school.
Gotcha.
And if I could get some pros in there, I'll do that too. But ultimately, my objective is to create well-rounded players. I feel like there's been some instances where I see players lacking certain qualities
Yeah.
that I think could be alleviated by going to. There's great trainers all through the Northeast, but I really want to help Westchester and give back to the community that created me. You know, this is it's a passion of mine. I never thought I'd go into coaching, to be honest, but it's one of the best things seeing a player develop or like kind of implement the training you're trying to do. It gives me the best feeling. So
yeah. I mean, what made you want to start? I mean, you said you want to give back to Westchester, right? I totally understand you, right? But I mean, you come basically from playing in a professional level, right? What made you now want to start your own program, right? Because I mean, right? I mean, if you turn in your resume of how you play so professional, any academy, right, will take you quickly, right, to train any academy out there, MLS academy. What made you now be like, you know what, I want to start my program, not work for anyone, and just help out these kids? Like, what made you have that feeling?
Yeah, I think being your own boss is the best thing.
Yeah, obviously,
I think as the kids or any adult looking at this, you're gonna learn that very soon. Yeah. Like having your own schedule is the best thing ever. And what made me do it is I think we come into this earth and we develop a certain amount of skills. Yeah. And I think why completely changed my trajectory of my career and what I've learned in soccer and try to go into real estate or finance. Like that's my passion. My strengths are in soccer. So I'm going to show the kids that I train or whoever I work with a positive interaction and everything I've learned. I want them to be better than me at the end of the day.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, what's your end goal towards it? What's your end goal towards creating this program?
Yeah, I want to. So my goal is that every player who comes to me gives me their objective, where they are, what they want to do within the year, and from long term, whether they want to go pro, whether they want to go to that special college, that D1. And create as many pros or just positive situations as possible. Hopefully one day, maybe even make it to like academy with a bunch of teams and just foster a community of positivity and just elite training.
That's really good. I mean, when did you start doing this?
It just happened recently. I think these last 2 months. I got in touch with the right people.
That's good. Where are you located again?
In Westchester.
The training group, right?
Yeah, it's going to be located in Westchester. Right now we're trying to find our home, like where it's going to be, like our facility and stuff. Yeah. So we're going to be bouncing from facility to facility, training different kids from different parts of Westchester.
Gotcha. What age groups do you train in? How many kids? Like in a group or separate? Is it just
I'm gonna combine 3 ages, so I'm gonna probably do U10, U13, and then U13, U16, and then 16-year-old and up. And ideally, I want to do about 20 kids per group. I think that's a very good number to kind of implement what I'm trying to teach them, and that's just game management. I feel like nowadays, being able to read the game correctly is not pushed enough.
Gotcha. What would you say? I mean, because I remember I used to train little kids as well, but what would you say is, like, for right now, your favorite age group to train?
Wow, good question. I don't want to get anyone annoyed at me for my answer, but I would say U11, U12, I think is my favorite, just because they're easily coachable. They don't have egos, and they pick up things so quick. And when they pick up those things, they kind of realize it, and they look at you with that admiration. So I would say U11, U12s.
U11, U12, not bad. That's not bad at all. Something I would like to ask you is, I mean, you have your program. So you have your program. You played at N1CFC. You went to IMG, right? Massive background. I as well saw that you got called up to a Honduras national team, right? How did that go? How did that happen?
Oof, that's a great experience and story. So, in the beginning of the year, I was playing for the second team of New York City FC. It was my first real experience at playing pro for an organization that's one of the best in America, right? Yeah. And I came in fit. I had the objective of, like, I want to make the best possible season for myself. My first goal, though, was to stay healthy. And after that, I knew that my skill set was going to be able to produce results, right? Yeah, exactly. So long story short, that season ended up being crazy for me. I scored like 14 goals, and had like 5 assists in like 16 games, whatever. And the fans of Honduras started to like keep tabs, like, hey, we should call this guy up to the national team. And I was waiting, you know. The season after that one, in the winter, Diego Vasquez gives me a call, and he's like, hey, we're going to call you up. Like, we've been seeing you.
Yeah.
Think you'd be a good addition. We're going to ask you to come to this camp. And I told my family, it was like one of the happiest moments. Like, being able to represent my grandparents' country would be the top feeling, I think, in my life. And they came down to Honduras too, to see the camp and everything. It was amazing.
Gotcha. I mean, I remember I played there as well. It was very nice. Very nice. Not gonna lie, and great experience you had as well. When you were down there, right? What would you say is the difference between the level of competition over there with compared to here, right?
Yeah.
You not just in your age group, right? But I mean, as well, you saw some kids play right over there, right?
Yeah.
What do you say is the difference between a country in Central America, right, and the United States? What level of soccer would you say is high and low? What are the differences?
Yeah, I think there's different strengths and weaknesses from each sector or country. I would say South American, Central American players have more grit, that attitude to get stuck in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I feel like for them it's not just a hobby. They're trying to do it to put money on the table, food on for their families, you know. So they obviously are going to have that different edge. I think American soccer as of late is more organized, allowing for their players to show more of their qualities. But just like that sneakiness, that cleverness, that 1v1 ability, I think Central South American players are
definitely
top.
Of course, I definitely agree with you. I mean, you have massive play. You got Neymar, right? You got Ronaldo, the best in the world there with Messi, right? They come from the street, Ronaldinho, right? And their sneakiness is just incredible, right? When you see both, like you just said, American soccer and the soccer that you played over there, who do you think has more hunger? Do you think a player from Central America, or do you think a player from here from America?
Oof, that's a tough question.
What would you say?
I think it depends on the upbringing.
Yeah.
If a player from Central America or South America having nothing, I think is going to obviously be more hungry than a player who's been given everything here in America. But that's not to say they're not going to work as much, you know?
Yeah.
It just depends on the situation. I think it totally depends on who your parents are, your family, and the upbringing you have, you know? I would say I was fortunate enough to grow up in a good neighborhood and like be given things that other players in South America, Central America didn't necessarily have, but I know that I worked just as hard as anyone down there.
Yeah.
So I think it just completely depends on who your family, who you're around with.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, what is your opinion on, right? When we look at, like I just said before, when we look at the best players in the world, right? When we look at the European League, right, the best player in the world we can say is Messi, right? That's what everyone says, right? And you got Neymar, and they come from poverty, right? They come from poverty, right? Today, in your opinion, who do you think is the best player in the world in America right now?
American player or
Yes,
just like
American
in MLS
player.
system?
An American player, just in general.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example, Argentina,
Ooh, okay.
Messi, Brazil, Neymar, right?
I would say Christian.
Christian, right?
Christian Pulisic is definitely, I think, up there. Who else? Yeah, no, I would say Christian's top. Tyler is a monster. But I would say those two are probably our top dogs.
Top dogs
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there. Gotcha, definitely. Something I'd like to move on with and ask you is that you have a massive career, right? Background. I mean, that's what you're known for, right? I see that as well after everything of NYCFC, national team, IMG, the University D1, right? You went into a health issue, correct?
Yeah.
Can you give me a little bit more detail? How did you, right, go through it? Like, how do you look at it as soon as that hit you, your ups and downs after and before?
Yeah, so I This time last year, I was getting ready for preseason.
Yeah.
I would work out 3 times a day, and like these workouts usually they were hard. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but they shouldn't have made me feel the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
So after each workout as well, I would get a migraine, and I couldn't see out of my eyes. I was like, "What's going on? This is not normal. I've never experienced it." So I went to the doctor. They're like, "Hey, maybe sometimes people start developing migraines at your age." Like I'm like, "Okay, but it's never happened in my life." So I worked out again, another migraine. I was like, "Okay." I went to the hospital now, and they took a CT scan of my brain to see what's going on because they also thought it wasn't normal.
Yeah.
They found out that I had like this vein in my head that might need surgery. So they transferred me to another hospital. The hospital took another CT scan. They're like, "No, that's wrong." And this is like 5 days of constant testing, blood being drawn. It was miserable. I think I left that hospital being more sick than I actually was.
Yeah.
So the 5th day comes and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do one more scan of like your upper torso here." And the results come back and they're like, "Everything's clean. We don't know what's going on. Like this is weird, but we see like this from like the bottom part of the scan. We see like this little mass. We think it's a lymph node." They said, "We think it's nothing. Do you want to check it out or do you want to go home?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm here. I know something's wrong. I'll check it out." So they do like a whole scan of my chest now, and the results come back where a tumor was growing here, the size of an iPhone. And that was like probably the toughest news because I was with my girlfriend eating, right? We're excited. I'm going to come back home. I was going to go to a preseason with Tampa Bay. And the doctor has this face like someone just died. I was like, "Oh God, what can this be?" She's like, "John, we found a tumor." And that when I heard that, I was like, you feel like chills in your body. But thankfully, like it was super hard for my family and my girlfriend and my friends. But through their support, I was able to overcome it. But yeah, it was tough. Like having been training so hard to like now having to battle against one of the scariest things I think
How long
imaginable.
did that take?
So the process, so I had to do chemotherapy and it was 6 months. So
Wow.
I would do about 5 days of chemo straight. They put a PICC line. I don't know. You know what that is?
Yeah.
So they would have a PICC line. I would walk around with a fanny pack. It was like a gallon of medicine. And every 3 days I would go in, they would exchange it. And then after the 5th day, finish my treatment at the hospital. And then for 2 weeks, your body's recovering from the beat down that is the chemotherapy.
Gotcha.
And like the toll it takes on your body is, you never realize. I think the best way to describe it is like feeling hungover.
Yeah.
Like the worst hangover of your life. You feel nauseous, body aches everywhere. It was gruesome.
Gotcha. I mean, and what was your mentality right there? I mean, because I mean, after hearing that news, no one's excited, no one's happy, you're down. What was your mentality there, right? Like to say, "No, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going." Like a mind of a champion. Like, what was it in that moment?
I'm a little stranger than the normal person.
Yeah.
For me, it was you either fight or you're gonna die.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So. My family said it was the battle of your life.
Yeah.
It's your Olympics, your mini Olympics. And for me, my biggest thing to overcome was trying to be as positive as every single day. I think overcoming that little obstacle really, really helped me. And I think, I don't know, being grateful for every single moment. Yeah. Regardless of what you're going through right there, even though it's not the best thing, like being diagnosed with lymphoma, having to go through chemotherapy is not the best, but you're also seeing other people, little kids, 5 years old, having to go through chemotherapy. Yeah. People with their legs cut off, weak as hell. Like it was eye-opening experience, and that changes your perspective on everything. But I would say being grateful for every single moment, because like even taking showers, something you were like.
I think that's the issue nowadays, right? Then that was actually something I was talking with an old trainer of mine, and is that we as humans sometimes don't notice our small blessings, right?
Exactly.
Even us, what we're doing right now, it's a blessing. Even just looking at you looking at me, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Right? And even to talk, and that's sometimes, the issue nowadays that we as humans don't appreciate, right? I see now that we appreciate, we get more sad when we lose an example, right? When we lose a car, right? And then it's material.
Yeah.
That can be recovered, right? But when we don't lose something, when we lose something that we have, like they say, you got to lose it to be grateful at the end of the day, to know what you lost, right? So something to really think about. What would you tell a kid right now that's going through a hard time, especially with health issues or even an injury, right? Because injury sometimes can be for life. What would you tell that kid right now to like, what mentality would we tell them to have right now, right?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. I would say that every challenge is given to you to make you stronger, ultimately. Or something great is going to happen from it. That's how you have to think. It's not the end of the world. There's also people going through things that are much worse, unfortunately.
That's true. And
if it's talking about soccer specifically, dealing with injuries, that's something that has been a big Achilles heel for me. Like talking about like a challenge that I had to overcome that sadly I think got the best of me, which was trying to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I would say do your dividends off the field as much as possible to keep your body as fit as possible.
Definitely, yeah. After the chemo, after everything, what was your feeling when you were cancer free? Right? What was it like? I think I saw the video. I think you rang the bell, right? Like, what was that emotion right there?
It was super emotional. I don't know how to describe it. It was something that I was so accustomed those 6 months of just going through hell, so much pain, that when it finally was over, I was like, well, someone pinch me. Like, is this actually happening? So I would just say, just happiness for my family as well, having them not sad, not seeing me so weak, I think was one of the best feelings of my life.
Definitely, yeah. And after the chemo and after all that, quick question, that happened, you said you had plans to go to Tampa Bay, I think, right? Gotcha. What were your thoughts after all that? What were your thoughts on soccer there, like afterwards? Did you want to stop playing, or what did you do afterwards?
So at every stage of my career professionally, I felt like I was getting injured. Yeah. And it was freak accidents, man. Like one season, it was a teammate of mine falling on me. Ankle was sprained for like 4 months. It was a horrible injury. Another year, someone tackles me from behind. I broke my wrist, out for the entire season.
Wow.
The best season of my life, I'm like at the pinnacle of my physical shape. I go to shoot a ball. Yeah. My quad tears. And that was my first muscle injury. Yeah. The season after that, I didn't know. I came in like a rocket too. Guy falls on me, ankle sprain again. And then I was trying to get back into that season. I was battling cancer. Yeah. So I didn't even know I had a tumor like this in me. I was like, why am I so tired? So finally being like fully cured from cancer and everything, I was like, maybe this is not meant to be, Yeah. My body is not strong enough to withstand the demands of a physical long season in soccer. So I was keeping myself in shape too. Like the doctors had to keep me away from the gym, from doing activities, even with the chemo pack tied to me. So gotcha. I thought the best thing for me was to stay within the game and show kids their strengths and develop them to become a player better than me. That's what, at the end of the day, what I want to see.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, with everything you've been through, right? I see you have ups and downs, right? What would you say throughout your career, right? Life-wise and athletic-wise, right? What would you say? Have you had more ups and downs in life? Which ones?
I'm gonna be positive and say I had more ups, but I don't think anyone's journey is easy. Yeah. I think for those who have it that way, be very grateful, and I hope it stays that way. But definitely. You got to just go roll with the punches, Definitely. Just take them in stride and learn from that failure. Failing is not the worst thing in life. Yeah. You're supposed to take whatever you weren't able to accomplish and learn from it, and then hopefully one day you're able to achieve your goals, you know?
Definitely, yeah. It might sound a little bit off topic, but after what you said, right, ups and downs, you've had more ups. I mean, if you weren't diagnosed with cancer, where would you say you would be right now today?
Ooh, it's a tough question.
Yeah.
If I wasn't diagnosed, I would probably be playing at Tampa. Hopefully with the Hunters nationally having a good season. But it's very situational because, again, if I didn't have the tumor, I think I'd be having a very good, hopefully healthy career in soccer. But it's tough to say because I don't know. So many things can change, you know?
Definitely agree with you. All right, everyone. We'll be back. Quick short break here with Johnny. All right, stay tuned. And we're back here again with Fitpro Talks, everyone, with Johnny. All right, Johnny, a question I have for you, which is massive out there, right? Because, you know, in anything in life, right? It can be college, it can be choosing a career, anything pursuing in life, right? Everything needs sacrifice, right? But there's a definition for sacrifice in everything, right? In soccer, football, basketball, in being a doctor, being a lawyer. What does sacrifice mean to you?
Great question. I would say sacrifice is complete devotion to your craft.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, there's going to always be someone working way harder than you. And that's the mentality I had, that there's someone out there doing more reps, getting better, while you're resting or doing something that is not devoted to what you're trying to do. And I think at the end of the day, when you're working so much or on a specific idea, whether it's to get promoted at a job, be a professional soccer player, whatever it is, you have to put in the time and you have to do the things that you're not necessarily going to like. Yeah. I can tell you myself, I hated stretching, like the pre-activation stuff. I thought it was a waste of time until all the injuries started to rack up, and then I started to get into it. But it's the things you don't like, whether it's running or for a job, working extra hours to put yourself on the top of the list, you know? Definitely. I would say complete devotion.
Definitely, I agree with you because I think like in everything in life, right? Because nowadays, have you seen those videos that they say how to become rich?
Yes.
How to become a millionaire, right? And they're like, why do you kill yourself in the job? Why do you kill like no, I don't I don't really, like they say there's no shortcuts in life, right? I think in anything you want to do, you have to, right, break your back and you got to, you know, just chase it every single day, go after it, right? Go with a purpose, right? And you know, going back to your training program, do you see yourself training at a professional level, training professional athletes? And if so, I mean, when I say professional, I mean I'm not just talking about MLS, England League. I'm talking about as well USL 1, USL 2, right? A national team, right? In different ages.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what can happen. Right now, my priority is developing the players around Westchester, but ultimately, long term, that would be a wonderful experience. I think I would love to maybe tackle a team, whether it is here in the United States or in Europe. I feel like I'm more than prepared, but I want to constantly be learning and give myself the best type of resume to get me ready for that, you know? So, yeah, that's the ultimate goal, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. What's a coach you look up to?
I think Pep is one of the best coaches out there. And I also love, I think Sir Alex Ferguson was actually a magician with the amount of titles he won and then what he was able to do with the players he had as well, which is a big thing I think people kind of miss.
Definitely,
you know?
Yeah, because I mean, back then, especially, I mean, being a coach back then, right, in that era, right, it was very different, you know, to training an era like today. You know, you can even see it in academy levels. You can even see it in MLS levels, right? Yeah. It's changed completely, right? But yeah, it was an honor having you here today, Johnny.
Thank you,
all right, everyone, This is episode 1, first interviewer here. So much more to come. All right, our podcast will be posted on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on all social media platforms. All right, stay tuned for everything. And thanks again with Johnny. All right, it was a pleasure having you. All right, for future interviewers that I'm having, please comment below on the post that I had with Johnny today. Please let me know who would you like for me to interview. Remember, Fitpro Talks is about people that are successful, athletes in any sport. All right. But again, thank you, Johnny, for having you here. Anything you'd like to say before?
No, I'm super thankful for you and the opportunity to share my story.
Definitely.
Super excited also about my training program that we're starting up. Give it a follow, 360 Pro Soccer. And good luck to all of you.
Definitely. If you have kids out there and you want to develop your kids, all right, in soccer, you already know you have the guy right here, West Chester, all right? Thank you, guys. Episode 1, so much more to come. Fitpro Talks.